It's not always about games, and it's not always good. Full frontal garbage.
Full frontal.
Full frontal garbage.
But
one of these days we'll have an actual intro with music and shit.
well, I actually put music on the one I uploaded.
I know.
Yeah.
We can have it on a Q key. Anyway, so how have you been, David?
Man, I've been great. I've been really good.
Yeah, that makes one of us.
Yeah,
so, if y'all can't tell, I have the Roni Pony, aka COVID, aka coronavirus.
You've been riding the Roni Pony.
I've been riding the Roni Pony. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
Austin told me I was riding the Rona train. But yeah, I thankfully have a very, very mild case. My fiance both have had a very, very mild case, but yeah, it's been a trip. A lot of people have been saying they've had the lack of smell, lack of taste. No, I can still taste. I can still smell. Because, you know, where I live still smells like absolute feces. As David can attest to, I live in a very stinky neighborhood. And no, it's not meth. At least not anymore. It was only meth that one time.
We're not known for our meth addicts. We have a roving meth gangs that kind of just roll in and then leave on occasion.
Yeah, like southern Arkansas is basically PvP.
Just we have occasional meth storms, light meth showers.
But yeah, haven't really felt that bad, honestly. So I'm very thankful that I haven't had coronavirus as bad as some people, but I have a coworker that she's been hit extremely hard by it, but I think we're all gonna be fine out of this. But
yeah,
my God, do I not feel like an essential worker right now?
You're like the fourth person that I know personally that has gotten COVID.
Which is weird because you've been sick more than all of us.
Yeah, but apparently it hasn't been COVID. There's been There's been a couple times, I swear. There was one time early on before the COVID scare really hit the US. So it was in that like kind of weird window where it was already probably here, it just hadn't kicked up yet. And I just out of nowhere, it was like I just knew I had the flu, man. It was bad. I was projectile vomiting. I was going out of both ends. Oof. And we go to the clinic to swab for flu because obviously that's what we would have thought it was. And everyone in the clinic was like, "Oh yeah, he's got flu." Like you're coming in because you think you have flu, don't you? I was like, yeah. I was sitting upright in my chair was painful. Like it was exhausting me. It was just, I was not feeling good at all. And then they swabbed me and everything, and I'm waiting for the results. And I came back fully negative on everything they were testing for.
So what you're saying is you're basically patient zero.
Well, see, that's
like
the thing.
You're the cause of all this.
Yeah, I'm the ape that some dude fucked, and now we have to deal with AIDS. No, but
that's fine. I didn't need that drink of water.
But seriously, and I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying it was COVID. It was just, it was weirdly timed, and I was definitely sick. There was definitely something going on, but everything that they swabbed me for was negative. So
yeah, it's always an interesting, fun game to play with your doctor or nurse practitioner, where they come in, unfold the test results, and go, "That's interesting."
Yeah.
No, it's not. Tell me what's on the paper, doc.
Oh man.
But yeah, the only other symptom I've been noticing is like, I don't know exactly how to say this. Like, you know that phase of a sunburn, right before you know you're burned, where your skin is like unbelievably tender.
Yes.
Whole body.
Ugh.
It's like it's not painful. It's just like I can feel the fibers on my t-shirt.
Yeah,
kind
like
of
it.
thing.
Yeah, like it feels like it's just about to start going bad. It's like
Yeah.
it's that irritation phase where it's not painful. It's just like, why am I fuck, like you said, like why am I feeling the threads in my shirt?
Yes. Why do I feel wind when there's no wind? Stop thinking about me. I can feel that on my back. Don't look at me. It hurts. But yeah, that's basically the only other major symptom.
Yeah.
But yeehaw for 2 weeks of quarantine.
Oh,
But speaking of being in quarantine, my fiance has been in quarantine for a couple of days before I got a confirmed diagnosis of COVID. And she's been watching the stock market basically collapse. Have you heard anything about this?
me, a very very small amount. Like I have a very passing like knowledge.
Yeah, like I know nothing of the stock market, right? I never paid attention to anything that my granddad used to watch on like on CNN and stuff like that. Don't care, couldn't care less. Uh, the best thing she ever did was like a little bit of, low risk savings, and after she hit $100, she would donate it to a mutual aid fund, like uh, Food Not Bombs or something like that, or a food bank or homeless shelter, whatever. Just you sit on it for a while and it trickles up to about $100. It takes months to do it. Well, she didn't get on the GameStop bandwagon, she got on the AMC bandwagon, and we're seeing how this is going to play out. But, and I have numbers for this pulled up right here. Around August, the middle of August, GameStop sat at about $4.50 a share.
Mm-hmm.
So $4.50 would get you a share of GameStop. Basically, Reddit got together, picked GameStop. We're going to buy the ever-loving hell out of GameStop stock. Right now, its peak so far was at 347. I think that was earlier in the week. Yeah, it was on the 27th. Right now, it's sitting at 325. That's up 131% in just the past few hours.
Wait, from 4 to 300? That's over 100%.
No, in the past few hours, it's went up over 131%.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Sorry for the miscommunication there. But I don't care about stocks, and this is the point that I wanted to touch on today. Not really about stocks, but about the fact that the people who are investing in the stocks don't care about stocks either. They're doing this because they know these huge hedge funders wanted to buy and sell these at a super low price. If all of these assholes start buying shares, it skyrockets the price. Guess what happens to those hedge fund guys?
Oh yeah, they're out. Tons.
They're out
money.
of business because they have currently, I think today, bankrupted one company at least. There's going to be more to follow, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but this is Occupy Wall Street all grown up.
Yeah. And because they're finally playing by their rules.
All right.
They're not trying to attack it from the outside where they're trying to, bring them to reason. They're taking the same swings on the same level.
Exactly. And I am here for it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Love it. Because these are the same assholes that got bailed out in 2008 and completely fucked my and your generations over.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for one, am sitting back and watching the show. So I am awestruck at these. I think what Monica called them were like armchair investors.
Yeah.
That were literally like, you know what? I have 15 spare dollars. Let me topple this multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Well, that's
And they fucking did it.
yeah, that's the thing. Whenever you actually have a concerted effort and you have multiple people whole groups banding together for a single objective, you can you can you can manage quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
There is power in numbers.
She got in on the ground floor right after AMC kicked up. And as it sits right now, we're waiting to hear back from like Robinhood and the rest of these little tiny investor apps and stuff like that, because they blocked everybody out before.
Yeah.
Like right after all this happened, like you couldn't buy like these 10 stocks or whatever. I can't remember all of them, but it was GameStop and AMC were like the two big ones.
Yeah.
Because literally the Reddit was like, all right, we did this to GameStop. Which one's next? And some random yokel went, well, AMC's like $6. And as soon as that tweet come out, they locked AMC down along with that and the rest of them that were referenced on that subreddit. And Reddit has been blowing up so much today, I actually cannot access it on my phone. I don't know if it's my service provider, because Monica can't access it either.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, I can still access it on the computer, but I just think that's hilarious that, they're like, haha, you should play by our game. Okay, we played by your game. No, not like that. I absolutely love that.
You're not supposed to be good at it.
Yeah, we're sticking it to the man with the man's rules. And it's Monica still holds true. She's like, even if I come out like $10,000 ahead, I'm still donating it.
Yeah.
Like we don't need the money. We've got a comfortable life. Screw it. There's other people out there that could use that money. And that's what these investors don't get. We're not in it for the money. We're in it to make you cry.
Yeah. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Just piles of burning cash.
But speaking of toppling things, I hear you're very, very excited about the new Kong versus Godzilla movie.
Yeah, big casual fan. Big casual fan.
Big casual fan. As someone on the outside, tell me what I should look forward to.
You should look forward to a gigantic spectacle of a big ass lizard and a big ass monkey. Never mind. Okay. Why are you leaving the door open? Why are you leaving the door?
Honestly, see, I've seen the Godzilla movies and I've seen the King Kong movies, and
sorry, my wife is rudely interrupting.
I'm just rambling at this point. But I've seen the Kong movies and I've seen the Godzilla movies, and especially considering like a lot of these theaters are closed, I don't think the spectacle's gonna be there for a lot of people, I'm afraid.
Well,
like, do you think seeing it in the theater would be, or not being able to see it in the theater would be a negation from that, or do you think it's gonna be as huge and bombastic of a movie on your laptop screen?
Well, actually, that was something that I've kind of been thinking about, because the nostalgia of getting to go to a theater and sitting around with a group of people, because we're social creatures, humans, and there's no reason to go that deep with it, but there's something about kind of the whole event and the spectacle of going to a theater, sitting around, sharing this moment with a group of people, even if they're just strangers, or if you have a whole group of friends that you go to a movie with, and you get concessions, you get popcorn and drinks and all that, and it's
an experience.
It's a whole experience, but that doesn't really lend itself to a better movie experience. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, like for instance, Star Wars, humongous series, humongous franchise, and there are some people who remember going to see the first Star Wars, and that's like a moment of their life that changed them forever. They're going to tell everyone they have ever known about being a part of that, and it's a very important moment in their life. But also that's because back in the time when Star Wars came out, you only saw it in theaters. You only saw it when and when the advent of like TV and everything came around. Anytime a channel decided to play the movie, that's the only time you got to see it before VCRs, became a thing and VHS became big. And so, like, people's experiences with movies were tied specifically to going to the theater. And I think that kind of nostalgia boner for what that is, like that means something and it's integral to the movie experience, is actually mostly just that. It's just rose-tinted nostalgia goggles. I can
see that.
I honestly think that given however many years,
generational thing, too. Yeah.
Given however many years down the road, well, I mean, think about how many families these days enjoy, sitting around the radio.
You have a good point.
You know what I mean?
The only time I've ever heard the radio is when the old lady in the deli department listens to it in the middle of the night when we're stocking the shelves.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, how many times have we talked about like video game consoles? I talk about how, kids now aren't gonna, they're not gonna understand what it was like.
You're weird for being a retroite.
Well, I mean, that was what I grew up with,
Right.
Like old Nintendo consoles and all that, and like plug in I've completely forgotten what it's
like the coax cable.
The coax cable. Thank you. I lost the freaking word. Like having to go, like having to get back behind your TV, and more often than not, it's some weird angle, and you're like
and spin the threads on instead
trying
of just plugging an HDMI cable in.
Line up the pro. Yeah, now it's just like, and even then you had the RCA cables, and it's. Yeah, my brain is losing words right now, but yeah, you had like the yellow, white, and red. Because you had like the two audio and the one video, and you had to like set everything up, plug it up, and it was like, oh, is that the white or is that the yellow, and all that shit. And it's like, now it's just one cable, just one cable, just video audio.
Getting kind of off topic, I remember when I gave him, I had this old Nintendo that didn't work, and I had this Nintendo Slim, which I had never seen. He knew what it was, so I was like, you know what? I don't have any time to play these games. I don't want to just sell them, because they meant something to me, because my dad gave them to me. He was cleaning out this old apartment, found them, thought I would like them, gave them to me. But they'd been packed up for years. I gave them to him. He almost cried. Like, what was the big one? I think it was your introduction to playing games on YouTube. Was it the Snoopy NES game?
Yeah, it was some kind of stupid. Well, yeah, it was just a fun thing. It was just some Snoopy NES game. But anyway, my point is,
getting back on topic now.
I feel like there's this physical connection to gaming and what it means to me because of the memories that I shared and the things, that I experienced going up to that, all those happy moments, all those happy memories in my childhood leading up to now.
You're chasing a feeling.
Yeah, it stems from that nostalgia. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing with theater and movies. Well, like movie theaters, not theater, like stage performance. Mm-hmm. But I feel like any connection to that is purely just anecdotal. It's just coincidence. It's circumstantial.
Because I know a lot of people in generations younger than me, like they don't get the appeal of theaters and cinemas, and like they sure as hell don't understand drive-ins. I'm not that old.
Yeah.
Well, let's not jump to conclusions here.
Because it's just a big money pit.
Right. Like nowadays it is. It's a huge money pit. They gotta make the money somewhere.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, I'm noticing this trend where, like, before streaming, to me, was me by myself in the bedroom waiting on a video that was 10 minutes long to load on a dial-up connection.
Yeah.
Right? But now you have these kids that live in these modern, technologically connected cities that invite their friends over, like their whole living room is basically one giant couch. And they get like 6 or 8 people over and they just watch these TV shows. and they wait until the whole season is out, and
Or
they
the-
will sit there and binge
Yeah.
all night. Or
Or-
they'll
or-
find these series of movies and they'll watch every movie all night.
Or watch parties online.
Yeah, or right now because of COVID, watch parties.
Well, I mean, just in
And-
general, that's been going on since before COVID.
Yeah, that's the big thing. What was that service called? Like Rabbit?
Oh,
Or
I
something?
can't even remember. I have no idea.
Basically, you could put the movie up on a big screen and all your friends were surrounding the screen, you know, you
Yeah.
could talk and stuff and chat. But yeah, it's like there's been this big cultural shift to where like watching TV shows and movies and series on streaming devices is the new norm now. And I, for one, am all for it. You know,
Yeah.
not to say there's anything good on anymore, because I still can't. I have like 16 streaming services, and I still can't find anything other than YouTube to watch. But that's just me.
There's some
But-
good stuff that's been coming out.
Yeah, and we can talk about all those series on a later date. But getting back on the nostalgia train thing is people, I guess, are looking for that next big like connection.
Yeah.
Back then it was theaters, now it's streaming with your friends, and for you I know it was video games. Like your big connection was like your brothers playing video games late at night, taking turns. And what game are you into right now?
That's a beautiful segue. Like that feels so natural for anybody just listening, but we planned this. You stinky little
Oh, thank you for
stinker,
calling it out and ruining the magic.
Oh, you know, there's a quiet majesty to the inner workings of stuff like this that I just really love.
You know, I didn't take oral communication for nothing.
What you can say with a mouthful, it's mind blowing. Oh
I
god.
crunch my lozenge at you.
Dying Light is something that I wanted to talk about. Absolutely. It's a game that came out like 6 years ago, and it is. I got a wild hair up my ass to play it like 4 days ago, like around a week ago. I was like, you know what? I haven't played Dying Light in a while. I want to play Dying Light.
It was like a blip on my radar. I watched like 2 people play it,
Yeah,
and then nothing.
yeah, because it was the one when it first came out. It didn't have the best reviews. Like when it first came out, it didn't have the best reviews. There was a lot of kind of naysaying about it, and people having
Was it mechanics or was it like story that they didn't like?
story and kind of people being a little done with zombies, and so it kind of got
That's
a
right,
kind of
yeah.
bad rap for that. Its story is
It landed like right in the middle of the big zombie thing, didn't it?
well, because that's the thing. I mean, you had like Left 4 Dead and everything leading up into Dead Rising and Dead Island, and then now it's Dying Light. And even now that everybody is like eye rolling every time they see, you know, zombie survival horror, and it's like, oh my fucking god, can we please get over this? And there's still games coming out to this day. Some of them are connected to series, but some of them are like Days Gone, which I haven't heard anything on that one. I haven't got a chance to play it. I haven't watched 5 minutes of gameplay, but I heard it was kind of lackluster. But anyway,
Yeah, I could see it getting, even if it was a good game, I could still see it getting lost in that big whirlpool of, oh, this game and zombies in that game.
yeah,
But one thing I did notice about Dying Light that stuck out is like the parkour mechanic.
yeah.
And dude, I can't, he streams a lot, and I cannot believe how fluid the grappling hook is.
It can be. That's something I actually was wanting to touch on. Is the game is obviously not perfect, but its selling point to me is the fact that, I mean, like the game itself and its mechanics, it all works and it's all great and it's super fun. It's one of the best. It's one of the best and most interesting gameplay loops I've ever seen in a video game, because you start the game and you have absolutely nothing, and the game has this unique like day and night cycle in which during the day it's just normal zombies. There's some like speedy boys who are gonna like hurt you if you aren't really paying attention. But generally, it's just your normal average zombie experience. But then as it slowly turns to night, when it hits a certain time, then you have these enemies that are called for anyone who hasn't played the game. You have these enemies that are called volatiles that come out, and then you get this whole shift in the gameplay because
so let me guess, they're extremely volatile.
Yeah. Like their name is well deserved.
I think I can follow that.
But it's now it's nighttime. You have lowered visibility. You have to use your flashlight to be able to see. And these volatiles have a cone of vision, and they're kind of just like patrolling, looking for people to eat. And whenever one of them sees you, the whole horde becomes alerted. Oh, not the normal zombies. They're just normal zombies. They never change. But all of the volatiles start hunting you, and they're super fast, like super agile. Because the normal zombies, they can't really climb very well. They just kind of shamble around.
Yeah, they're the traditional shambling mess of a zombie.
Yeah, but the issues for Dying Light comes in like small subtleties, like the grappling hook. So you're running around, you're jumping, you're ducking, you're dodging, and all this stuff, and on the fly, moving, ascending, moving up, there's no issues. There's this baseline where you can jump, and as you're falling, grappling hook, and everything's going to be okay. But there's kind of like a distance threshold where, like, if you're looking down from a ledge and you can't grapple to the floor from that ledge, if you try and jump and just think, oh, when I get in range, I'll hit it. No, it doesn't work that way. And it's not...
How gravity will overcome.
And
you will go splat.
Yeah. And it's not consistent in how that exactly works. Because there's times where it kind of works and times where it doesn't. Because like I said, it's like a 6-year-old game. So it has those tiny little nuances and tiny little like cracks in the shell that if you just focus on that, you put a magnifying glass to it, oh yeah, this game is broken and it's a piece of shit and blah, blah, blah. But it's, as a whole, when you're just playing the game minute to minute, it rarely just dies out and gets tired. You know what I mean? It's super interesting. And I actually lucked out, and when I decided to look at it again, and because I played it when it first came out, and I think I'd beat it, but I just kind of consumed it and then moved on. And my point is they've been keeping up to date with it. The developers, Techland, have been keeping up to date with it throughout this entire time. Like their last event that they had for the game was last month. And Dying Light 2, which is apparently set to come out sometime this year. I'm thinking it's either going to be late this year or it's going to be 2022. But it went on what they called an indefinite delay.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is Techland has the beautiful freedom of not having shareholders or a big publisher, at their back, knocking at their door every 5 minutes, asking for updates to the game and pushing out merchandising and marketing.
Sure,
marketing
yeah.
is what I was looking for.
That's always a detriment. That's always a detriment to games. It's like when they're like, we have to push, all of the tie-ins, all of the special content, all of the action figures and
pre-orders. But the sequel, now that after, like, it was the last gameplay announcement kind of trailer that we had for it was in 2019, and there's basically nothing in 2020. We didn't get anything in 2020, and people were worried that the game was pretty much dead, especially with how much... Did you stop slapping the keys? Sorry. She's just back there beating on her keyboard. But love you too, babe. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, we basically didn't get anything in 2020, no news whatsoever, and people were worried that the game was pretty much dead because it's what we've seen of it looks very interesting, very promising. They're doing the appropriate steps for a sequel in which they've taken everything that was good about the original, they're building on it and they're expanding it, and anything that kind of fell short a little bit is getting its appropriate tweaks to make it more interesting and, you know, more enjoyable. At least that's what it looks like. You know, you can never tell with promotional stuff and announcement trailers and all that. You really can't tell. But it looks really cool. But we've gotten some news at the end of 2020, rolling into 2021, that the game is still healthy. They've completely on track. They are where they think they should be. And to me, honestly, I think that's just, they're not trying to take away from the success of Dying Light, and that the game is still fully supported and alive and thriving, which
there's just things you can't do with a 6-year-old game.
Yeah. But it's allowing them to kind of quietly work on the sequel without taking away from the success that Dying Light has managed to hold on to this whole time.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a deep cult following.
Oh, there is, and it's actually getting a little bit more of a. It's getting like a second wind, because
that's nice.
Yeah, because what actually what set my eyes back on the game and got it back in my interest was I actually think I was on iFunny, and there was like a couple things that had been posted on that and just different stuff. And I actually thought that Dying Light 2 was out. That's how out of the loop I was. I was not paying any attention to it whatsoever. So I had been hearing about buzz about Dying Light 2 and all this stuff. So I figured with the amount of time in between it being announced and everything that it had come out. Sure. And then that's when sadly I found out that it was like on an indefinite delay, which I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean, but
indefinite delay means they still have save files, they're just not working on them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you know how that is.
Yeah, and there's a difference between that and a hiatus, you know. Just kind of like, that's when you're saying this is on pause, I'm not working on it right now, we're going to come back to it at a later date potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what's been taking up my time for the past week or so.
Yeah, cuz like it being a 6-year-old game, I kind of wanted to touch on this because this is like one of your main philosophies in video games of like, a lot of people want to complain about, oh, this little nitpicky thing doesn't fit right with me, or oh, the graphics, or oh, this one specific thing, if you do it just right in this exact location, is a game-breaking bug. But something you've always told me is like, who cares if it's got the best graphics or the best story or whatever? The purpose of a video game is to have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hell, one of my best video game memories, dating all the way back to like I was like, what, 2 years old, I think, was playing this old ass like Nintendo baseball game, and you can take control of one of the outfielders, like when the ball's kind of going around. And so this, you know, the dude hits the ball and it goes out into the field, and I take control over the outfielder to try and get the ball. 2-year-old David is stupid. He doesn't give a shit, because when you run into the wall with your guy, he just smacks the wall, makes a big oof noise, and then slowly falls over. So I don't know why they don't... For some reason, the guys on the field never completely made their run around the diamond, you know, to go home. They were just kind of sitting on their base, and I was just running into the wall over and over again, just laughing like a hyena, laughing my ass off, just brr, brr. and that's kind of
yeah, exactly.
That kind of philosophy has just marked my entire experience with video games. You know, I mean, there was a NASCAR game that me and a brother of mine would play when we were younger, and we would piss our dad off because he was real big into NASCAR and all of that. Obviously, was why we had the game. We found out that if you turn around and drive full speed at the oncoming cars, they would go fucking flying and would eventually get destroyed, and you'd be fine. So we would start the race, turn around, and just destroy the entire track of cars, and then it would be a race between us.
That's fantastic.
Just
that's the kind of gaming stories I'm here for.
yeah, and that was the thing, is that there is fun to be had in those weird little bugs. It was back in a time when the word dynamic was used as like flavor text in video games. It didn't mean shit. It added
there was no dynamic lighting back then. It was like you were happy the game had color.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is those kind of weird bugs and things is kind of what added that kind of like dynamic gameplay back then, because you never knew what was going to go weird, what was going to happen. Like I was playing Dying Light, actually, even like going back to that, there are these enemies called virals, and they're just faster zombies is all they really are. And I was playing the DLC the following, and so you're out in this countryside, and there's like all of this flat land and it's a stark contrast to the original core gameplay, in which you're in these like tight corridors of a city, and you got these like buildings really close together, and these slums and all this stuff, and it's very like tight, like constricting areas unless you're on the rooftops and you're jumping these gaps. The countryside is just vast prairie and fields and all this stuff and grassland. And it wasn't even like a gigantic hill. It was just a small, like 45-degree incline on this hill, and the zombies were running up the hill and phasing into the hillside, just randomly. And some of them would just spit out and like pop out, and some of them would just like fall through the ground and die. And it's just like random stuff like that. It doesn't hurt a game like some people are complaining about these days. Like
exactly.
Like game-breaking bugs and things that just
everyone
like destroy
wants
your
to
progress.
Call every kind of everyone wants to call every bug a game-breaking bug.
Yeah.
As far as like game journalism goes, it's like no, unless it deletes your save, it's not game-breaking.
Well, I mean, and Assassin's Creed 3 had a game-breaking bug. Like literally,
you know what I mean.
Within the first 15 minutes of playing that garbage dump of a freaking dumpster fire of a video game,
he feels very strongly about this game.
And I'm not going to get into it on this podcast because there's a lot to talk about there. That'll actually be one of our openers for another podcast. Oh my god! But anyway, within the first 15 minutes of playing that game, I literally had to restart my save like 2 or 3 times because there was this one like quest that was just bugging out and I couldn't complete it, so I couldn't move forward. That stuff needs to be patched out. That stuff needs to be fixed. Those bugs need to be squashed. But like Cyberpunk 2077 it's like a masterclass in small fun bugs versus game-breaking stupid bugs. Because
I've heard of 2077 being described as modern day Skyrim.
That's the way to describe it, not GTA, because there's a lot of people. I had people on my streams and stuff like that who were saying that the game was nothing like what they thought it was, and I was like, that's because people are going around saying that it's supposed to be like GTA, and they're expecting to be able to just run around third person in this open world and do all this stuff and interact with all these characters, and it's like it's not GTA, it's Skyrim. It's not action adventure, it's action RPG, and it's heavily RPG. But
I love it. I love those kinds of games. And
oh yeah,
touching back on the like you can have fun no matter what, while we were reminiscing about old gaming memories, I think I've told you this one, but I'm going to tell it on the podcast. PlayStation sent me like a Christmas holiday demo disc back when the PlayStation 2 was still in full swing.
PlayStation Underground.
No. This wasn't Underground. It was just a holiday disc. They sent it out like a few weeks before Christmas to try and, Mama, I want this game, that kind of thing.
You were one of the few privileged children who actually were like a part of that shit. I didn't even
that was
know
the only games that I ever got. I never got to buy real games.
Fair enough.
Mom paid $7 for postage, and I got 16 demos.
Yeah.
I digress. Anyway, there was a demo for Jak 2.
Oh.
And I think it was like one of the middle game levels for the platforming side of it.
Uh-huh.
and then there was a side mission kind of thing where you actually got to jump in the buggy and like go destroy the sandworms.
Yeah.
Well, I found out you didn't have to go destroy the sandworms. You could drive around as long as you freaking wanted to.
Yeah.
So I would just pick like the most insane jumps to go off of and spend all of my time just barreling full force at cactuses and shooting random shrubbery, and it was basically Cool Borders Jack edition for me.
Yeah.
And I would literally sit there and play this game unintentionally, or I would play this game opposite of how unintentionally, for long enough that the game would go, all right, and it would slap a demo timeout counter on top. It's like, you've been playing this for 3 hours. You have 10 minutes to complete this and exit the demo, or we're turning off your console.
Your game will explode.
Used to do the same thing with it was a Wile E. Coyote game for the PlayStation 2, I think. And the point of it was you're supposed to get in the bush, sneak through the sheep patch, past the guard dog, get out of his view, grab a perfume bottle and a fan, point it at one of the sheeps while you were still out of view, and the sheep would come bouncing into you, and then you grab it and you put it in the exit zone, and you win that level. And it was just that one level.
The exit zone.
I know, it was just like a spray-painted circle on the ground.
Yeah.
If you carried the sheep into that, it would be good. But a friend of mine, Luke, at the time, I guess it was implemented further in the game where you could like run like the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
We found out if you could go fast enough and jump up to the first ledge fast enough, the guard dog chasing you would chase you all the way through. And if you jumped up fast enough, he wouldn't get you in return to his post. So we got to a competition to see who could go back and forth fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because the beginning of the level was like a safe zone. He would never go in there.
Yeah.
So we got to like who could go back and forth fast enough as many times until we finally got caught and pounded into the ground.
Yeah.
My record was 17, by the way.
Some big dick energy there, Jordan.
I don't know. Does Wile E. Coyote have a big dick? I don't feel like he does.
Oh, man. And it's like, there are so many great moments, like, just in my time playing video games. And almost all of them are in some way tied to some kooky, weird mechanic or shit that we were breaking. Like, we would try to break video games. That was fun. And, like, going back to Cyberpunk 2077, now it's like, oh, this run around cars exploded and shit me flying through your broken game bullshit. I don't want to play this game. I want to refund it. And it's like, to an extent, I can understand what you're saying. Like, the shit that was going on with the last gen consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox, that was absolutely uncalled for. Straight up lying to your customers. That was bullshit.
Yeah, some of the footage I've seen off of the last gen versions of that game is a little inexcusable, but
and all that was just the game being built for current gen, for PC,
yeah,
PlayStation 5.
I remember that being in the PlayStation 2 versions of PlayStation 3 games.
Yeah, but the whole thing was that people were being the big stink about it was the whole time this was going on, people were worried like, oh, I can't get a PS5. Am I going to be able to play this on PS4? What are the downgrades? Because this game looks like it's going to be incredible, blah, 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 blah. It's going to have, ray tracing. And they were promised that while it wasn't going to have ray tracing and all of that, obviously they were promised an equal experience on par with how the game was going to be for current gen. And
while it may not look the same, it should have run the same.
And it wasn't even close.
Yeah. It was like, do you remember the Force Unleashed?
Yes.
I think it was. Okay, on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, what was it, 3?
Yes.
Like on all those consoles, it was this, third person action adventure game where you got to run around a Star Killer. The Wii version, if anyone wants to see like misadvertised terrible thing. The Force Unleashed on the Wii was not even the same game. And I don't mean like it was broken it was not even the same format of a game.
I was literally going to bring this up after whatever you were going to say because I didn't know where you were going with it. And I was going to bring up how it's like it was so funny looking at all of these games that were coming out during like the PS3 era and all that. And then just like looking at what just dirty abomination of a game
Popped
it was
up on the Wii.
What port for the Wii it was going to be. Because it was always this just I felt so bad for anybody who only had a Wii and was playing anything other than Mario and Zelda, because it was always like you would have this badass awesome action adventure game and then it would just be like a point click on Wii.
Yeah, because like imagine it this way. There are 4 families. They all make the same amount of money. This one kid gets to go to his 3 friends' house, and they all get the big new Transformer toy, right? It's 4 feet tall, it's complex, you can transform it into a car and ride it around your backyard. All 3 of them get this toy. His birthday rolls around, his parents, and he knows that they make the same amount of money. They get him a Christmas or a birthday present, and it's a McDonald's toy.
I was thinking like a McDonald's version of the Transformers.
Yes.
Is that you go to like Toys R Us and get a Transformer, and it's got like 300 moving parts, and it twists and turns and all this stuff. And then McDonald's
Shoots
is like
flames,
and McDonald's is like his legs close.
Yeah.
It's like the back end just spreads open and that's it.
Like that's purely what porting games to the Wii was like. I felt so bad for those people. Like you didn't, like, back when the Wii came out, you didn't buy the Wii because you were a gamer. You bought the Wii because you were a grandma who had grandkids, and you either were that and didn't know any better, or you were some, I don't even know what demographic would buy it solely for, like, the party game aspect. Like, what kind of single white cosmopolitan motherfucker do you have to be to buy a Wii and enjoy nothing but party games on it?
Yeah, and that's actually what I was going to say, because that was its whole model. It was like a family console. It was a party game console. And so you had the people who were like the diehard Nintendo fans, and they were playing all the mainstay IP for Nintendo. But then other than that, there was no like stable market for just playing video games, you know? Nothing was really happening. And like we just talked about, anything that tried to be ported over to the Wii was just absolute garbage. You know,
getting neutered would be an understatement.
If it wasn't something specifically designed for the Wii. Now, there's a ton of games that were made for the Wii that were fun. Incredible.
Let's not get there. There were really good games for the Wii. It's just the really popular AAA titles that were based on PlayStation or were based on Xbox did not get a good game version on the Wii.
It wasn't even close.
No,
but it had its,
and that's
where
its
market.
That's where it ties us into game breaking, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's where we were with that.
Yeah, like doing that kind of thing is inexcusable. That's the game breaking part. You know,
exactly.
Nobody's gonna sit here and look at Bethesda and like hate on them for whenever someone in Skyrim, you know, is walking past the path and then the person behind them is swimming past the path on you in midair. Well, that's funny. It's funny. It's a funny glitch.
Well, it's like the Elder Scrolls games and Bethesda games in general, that, you know, there's kind of a saying that goes with that, you know, is it a bug or a feature? Yes.
Mm-hmm. And is it a bug or a feature? Yes, it is.
And even the modding community behind it is mod it till it breaks. You know, like seriously. That's the slogan. And
mod it till it breaks and then back off one mod.
Yeah, and that's just the whole thing. Is there's so much underlying value to playing something that's just under perfect. You know what I mean? Or just
because you have no expectations going in other than the fun.
Yeah,
I feel like because if you have this big huge AAA game, you're expecting things out of it. If you have this middle of the road game that comes out after the big AAA games, you're not really expecting anything of it. You just go into it to have fun, and you have a fucking blast.
Yeah.
I digress. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
But-
You're good.
Like a good example of that was like super late on like the PlayStation 2's lifespan. I got the Ultimate Spider-Man game.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew about this game. No one. But to this day, even with modern gen PlayStation 4 Spider-Man games being out, I will contend that this had the best web swinging physics of any Spider-Man game I ever played. Not only because it offered realistic swinging from buildings that you couldn't like swing if you were above the buildings, like you had to wait until you drop below the skyline.
Yeah. Up until.
But also because it had this ridiculously game-breaking thing to where you could do the web jump and then jump cancel and then web jump again, and you could get to ludicrous speeds.
I mean, to be fair, up until Spider-Man 2019, is that when the game came out? PS4, Spider-Man PS4, the new one.
Yeah, the new one with Peter Parker and has the Miles Morales.
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, that one.
up until that, the king of Spider-Man web swinging was Spider-Man 2. I mean,
exactly
that game. I don't understand why, like every Spider-Man game after that had any trouble whatsoever. It's like that game literally nailed it. Just take that and do it every time. Like I don't understand.
Exactly.
Now, I mean, Insomniac Games did a remarkable job of building that concept again from the ground up and making it even better. Like what they did with that game is phenomenal. It's incredible. But even that game isn't perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think what really was behind Cyberpunk 2077 was the fact that it was 9 years in development, or so they say, and
there was the Duke Nukem effect.
All this hype, all this marketing, all these promises, and then lo and behold, oh, it's not the second coming of Jesus Christ. It's a video game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people seem to forget that, I think, in the gaming community is like, this isn't going to be like the one game you play until you die. It's not going to be that good. No video game's going to do that. But people like to put it on a pedestal.
Yeah.
To be that.
But it is good. It
is very good.
That's the main point of this, is even with all the stuff that is eventually going to get fixed, it is eventually going to get patched out. Should we be just okay with games being broken on release with day one patches and all this crap? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's just totally fine and there's no problems with it whatsoever. But I hate it when a game's like true value is completely and totally missed because of some slight imperfections. In the case of the last gen consoles, not slight imperfections, totally game breaking. But just overall, I think...
Yeah, we've covered that though, I think.
Yeah. Overall, I think a game's merits should still be like taken into account.
Precisely. I like that rant. That was a good rant.
It was pretty good. It wasn't a bad tangent.